Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Brenton on Tour Journey for Java podcast. The champ is back. The champ
Hello.
is back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tim Wendelboe. Up until about 3.5 weeks ago, held the title on the Brenton on Tour podcast for most downloaded episode. And he's one of the best coffee roasters and my favorite in the world. And he's got one of my most favorite coffee places in the world. You guys have heard me rave about them. This is Tim Wendelboe. Welcome back to the podcast, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. It's great to be back.
Finally connecting after about a year and a bit. I was in your location I guess it was when the world collapsed, just before the world collapsed. I think it was February of last year. Yeah. I was there. You were gracious enough to set me up with another tour of your location. Plus, I did some cupping and a few other things and learned how to become a taster and everything. I had an opportunity to meet Veronica Galova as well and interviewed her for the podcast through Roost. I think that's how you pronounce it. The portable machine that you guys had there for in-house roasting. So always amazing, cordial team that you have there. And I can't thank you enough for making the time to come on this little show here. So thanks, buddy.
It's a pleasure.
So for those of you just tuning in and not don't know the familiarity of who Tim is, Tim, has, as I mentioned, my favorite coffee in the world, Tim Wendelboe out of Oslo, Norway. He is the Aeropress champion. Well, he started the championship, yeah?
That's true.
You kind of got going. So I'll show some of your awards. You want to talk a little bit about how that came together for you, just to remind our friends about what the Aeropress world is for you. So I'll add this while how that kind of thing came together. So go ahead, buddy. Tell us the Aeropress story.
Well, the Aeropress story, actually, we started importing Aeropress, I think it was 2007 or 8. And then we didn't really know how to brew with it. I wanted to figure out kind of how, what the best practice with this new brewing device. And so we basically invited a few friends of ours and our staff to kind of compete in how to make the best cup of coffee with an Aeropress. And the US has something called the World Series in baseball, where you only have the American teams. So we figured, why not call it the World Aeropress Championship? And we had 3 Norwegians competing in the first year. And then the following year, we kind of had expanded a little bit. And a few years later, it was worldwide. And I think now it's like 60 countries having regional competitions and, a couple of thousand competitors a year worldwide. So
this is impressive. The Aeropress. I love this thing. This is like one of my favorite devices. Goes to it. Literally, the advertisement on it is that it makes the best cup of coffee in the world, and it's not wrong. It's really, really great. And Tim's got all sorts of stuff over at his website that basically talks all about it. But that's the coolest notes of it. It's just this really compact, affordable, like under $40 everywhere. Can basically make even the worst coffee bean tastes good somehow. I don't know.
Somehow, No, it's a really versatile tool, actually. So you can brew with a little cooler water that makes, darker roast taste a little bit better. And you can brew with hot water. You can add much more coffee than you need and extract less, or you can do the opposite. It's really a cool device.
So since I was there in February, then everything shut down. I guess my question to you is how has that affected you? How's Norway overall been for you guys? And has it been a massive effect on your business, or have you been able to press ahead?
Yeah, I would say it has affected us a lot, especially in the start. We had to shut down for a few weeks, and we had most of our staff on temporary leave. And unfortunately, we had just launched our kind of new website or web shop. We always had a web shop, but it wasn't very functional. So we got a lot of orders online, and that kind of, we had to close down the store, but the sales in online kind of made up for it. So overall, like last year for us was actually pretty good. And of course, we have been only serving takeaway since November, I think. But last week, we were actually able to start serving coffee in our cafe again. So Norway is kind of slowly starting to open up again, and more people are getting the vaccine. And But the business has actually, it's changed a lot. Like we sell a lot more online now to, consumers all over the world. I think a lot of people buy coffee from us now for their home office because they can't get free coffee at work, and they kind of want to treat themselves with a delicious cup of coffee while they're working at home. So for us, the sales has actually gone up slightly. It's not like exploded or anything. It's just we lost a lot of wholesale. Obviously, all the restaurants are closed, and but all the web shop sales kind of made up for that. So I'm not complaining at all. Actually, I feel like I'm the luckiest man in Norway that we're able to kind of still do business without having any staff on temporary leave or anything.
This is your place for everyone. I know my musician friends and some that I keep sending to your place have been there, and I think they compliment about what an amazing place it is. But when you walk in, this is the place here. It's typical cafe. You just come in, but the difference is that it's a full Aeropress cafe. So they don't, you got to wait it out, friends. You want a really good cup of coffee, you got to wait it out and check out. That's the team there. You got to check out the, everything there. Look at what they've got going on there. It's an incredible place, and one of my favorites. All my musician friends are raving about it. They think it's the best thing. So that experience of going into your store is everything. But is for me, because it's amazing. So to be able to get some of that back would be great for you guys.
Yeah,
I would understand. But you're still exporting around the world, and you still have your subscription service, and you mail everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? We really miss having visitors from other countries coming into the cafe, and it's been over a year since we were able to have tourists at all. And just last week when we opened the cafe again for kind of in-house service, my staff, you just see a big smile on their face, because it's been a little depressing to just have people come in, grab a cup of coffee, and then they had to walk out again. They couldn't sit in and kind of talk with us. And so it's a real joy to be able to do that again, I think, and hopefully over summer we will be able to open up a little bit more for visitors.
What is the timeline right now for Norway to kind of be back to everyone's version of normal?
Well, it looks like most adults will have their vaccine within the end of July. So I think, for some countries that have low kind of outbreaks of the virus, people from those countries will most likely be able to go to Norway in August, September without having to stay in quarantine and stuff.
Sure.
So we'll see. We never know with this pandemic. So I'm just crossing fingers that it will pass.
How did it affect your farm? Just down, because I'm curious how you guys were able to keep working through all that, or you just had to follow protocols. How did that business get affected?
Yeah, ironically, I've been getting photos of the trees and they're full of coffee cherries, which, is the first time that's ever happened. So ironically, when I'm not there, the farm is doing well. And when I'm there, it's miserable. So I think I just should stay away. But I've been communicating with the team there. Obviously, I buy coffee from Elias, who I bought the land from. And normally when I'm there, I live in his house or stay in his house because I don't have a house on my farm. So they're the kind of team that helps me when I'm not there. And they're sending photos. We're communicating on WhatsApp. There's a good friend of mine who married Elias's daughter, who is also a barista that I've been working with for a long time, and he's there now permanently. So we're communicating well, and we're actually going to see a little bit of coffee from the farm by the end of this year. So we're harvesting a little bit in July, August, which means maybe we'll be able to sell, a few cups and a few grams online. So I'm really excited about that. And I've tasted, we had like a half a kilo coming in just a couple of months ago, just some samples from the first pickings, and it's actually tasting really good. So I'm very excited about that, actually. I really hope that we will be able to establish a production that we can sell to customers and at least serve in our cafe. That would be fantastic.
Did you have any delays? Like, have you been able to keep producing, or are you did you have a moment there where you had to shut down for any period of time, or you've been able to keep producing and go?
No, not really. I mean, the coffee trees are, just in the field, so they will produce regardless of a pandemic. But I know that Elias was struggling with getting seasonal workers for his harvest because they weren't allowed to travel over the state borders inside Colombia for a while. And in Colombia, they're kind of depending on seasonal workers that travel from state to state to pick coffee. So, but he's fortunate to have his farm next to kind of a indigenous village. So normally they come and help him and work. So I have to say that he hasn't been that much affected. He was able to harvest well and process well, and the whole family has been working as a team. So his coffees was really good this year. So I'm very excited about that.
That's a sample there of, for people watching at home, of some of when I went cupping at your place, just all the different blends and the different variations of the things that you offer. So you're still able to offer all those and all the rest of it, or has there been a particular one that you've had to actually stop offering at least right now? No, you're good.
No, actually, that's kind of one of the real benefits that I haven't, I wasn't expecting or thinking about. The way we work, we kind of have been working with the same producers for many years.
Yeah.
And I've been going there every year to kind of taste coffees and, help them get ideas on how to improve the farm. And we've kind of created a protocol on how to process and store the coffee and to take samples. And so they kind of know what to do now. And that's the beauty of it. Like, I didn't actually have to go there last year in order for them to, do the work. Mm-hmm. They just sent me samples and we kind of have good communication. So I was able to get the coffees. The only thing is that we were supposed to have fresh crop Kenyan coffees now, but the container was delayed because there wasn't enough space on the boat from, I think the container went from Kenya to Saudi Arabia or something, and then it was stuck in the port there for like 5 weeks in the heat. So that's not very good, but we're expecting it to arrive at the end of this month. So
it'll just be over roasted like Starbucks and the rest of it. It'll be fine now. It's just been sitting in a thing.
Pre-roasted.
That's right. You got pre-roasted. It's a special batch you could offer. But like, it's the Tim Wendelboe cargo container batch.
Yeah,
something like that. It'd be a special blend, but it's all good. I'm a massive fan, as I said, from friends. Thanks, Toombs. They sent me out a whole package from your place for my birthday this year, which was great. So I'm just super stoked, and I only use Aeropress for it. I mean, I've got a Breville at home now and a couple, but I got some pour. I do use it occasionally for pour over, but your bean goes in the Aeropress, and it's exclusive to the Aeropress.
I think it's so easy to get it to taste really aromatic in the Aeropress. So I think that's a good choice for most of our coffees. I mean, we brew all our coffees like that in the bar, and at home I use like a filter machine that I helped develop. But sometimes I bring out the Aeropress just because it just becomes so much more expressive sometimes when you brew like that.
Now, the business overall, it seems that people just kept drinking coffee, so that part's there. Yeah. I'm sure the big conglomerates, if they still have their monopoly and all the rest of it, you're part of an amazing group that really sets the price for a lot of independent roasters, which I love that story. The last time you told that, is there are you guys speaking internally? Has there been a lot of support through this pandemic with each other, speaking about how to, come through this together? Is everyone helping each other, or, is everyone trying to find their own way through this thing? Because I'd imagine, the brick and mortar like you that has a coffee place that people can actually physically come into, anyone that's not part of subscription service like that you've been offering, I would imagine are going to have a really, really hard time through this scenario. So I'm curious about those smaller shops and that community of people that you're a part of, if they've been able to come through this.
I think most of them, most of the people that I've talked to over the last year, they've pulled it off quite well, actually. And I think we've all just, been really, really focused on our own business and cutting it down to the core, like what do we actually live off, and, cut out all the noise and stuff that doesn't really benefit the business. At least that's what I've been doing. And we've been restructuring and really been able to become more efficient. For instance, before we used to roast 3 days a week, but we roasted less coffee than we do now, and now we only roast 2 days a week because we're planning it a little bit different. And so I think most of the people that I've talked to have been, even restaurants that have closed, they say that it's not all like negative, it's also been positive because rethink your business model and reshape it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's had to pivot in some way. What have you been doing to keep busy through all this thing? I mean, are you getting any time in, or have you guys been having to stay in your house there? What's a day in the life of Tim Wendelboe right now, just normally outside of the coffee business?
Yeah, so basically, because I kind of live 2 minutes away from work, I have actually gone to my office and worked in my office. And I
Yeah.
kind of I took over the space where the rest guys were making the roaster. I took that space because they needed to move out. They needed more space. So I've
Oh,
kind of been
roast.
isolated in there. Yeah. So
Oh,
I've been
well, that's good for
isolated
them. I
in my
mean,
own office. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And then
that's good for them.
after work, I go home and stay at home. You're not socializing or anything. And I think I've been actually a little bit extra careful because we're such a small business. So if one person
Yeah.
gets contaminated, we had that twice actually. Two of our staff, not at the same time, but in two different locations, they got contaminated, and then we had like 6 out of 14 staff members in quarantine. Not able to work. So for a small business like us, that's really, really, really difficult to handle. And fortunately, we didn't have to close. It was only like a couple of hours one day where we had to close. But
Okay.
but I think it's been a little tiring for me. But I've also been able to focus on running my business, and I've actually come to a point where I'm also realizing that I need someone to help me run my business, so I can
Sure.
do more of the stuff that I really want to do. So that's been the good part of it. So.
Is there any thoughts on expansion as far as brick and mortar side of it, like into North America, or is the subscription service working for you on that side? Like, I would imagine in some of the coffee heavy markets, you would do
Yeah,
well.
we actually do have quite a big market in the US for our, we have a lot of subscribers there.
Hmm.
I don't really want to open another roastery or another store. I like to be in control and kind of, do everything hands on. So for me, that kind of model of having, several places doesn't really appeal to me. And I used to run a coffee chain where I actually did that, but I didn't enjoy it at all, actually. So, but we are thinking of, I'm always thinking 5-10 years ahead, so we can't stay in the space we're now for the next 10 years for sure. I mean, we're going to grow out of it probably in 5 to 10 years. So
The storefront or the roastery?
the roastery.
Yeah.
And then who knows, maybe we'll move the roastery outside of the city, or I don't really know. But I don't think I want to open more places. That's kind of
Sure.
never been my
Well, I
my
think
dream.
that's fun for me as the fan. That's like, oh, this is great. Those who are in the know, no. You have to
Yeah.
go discover. You're gonna have to go to Oslo, Norway, to check this out if you do. But I highly recommend that you either order from the site timwendelboe.no that you can see below, or part of the subscription service, because it's still affordable to do it wherever you are in the world. I mean, so there's bags locally of coffee here that are $20. So
Yeah.
I think you can get in cheaper than that for a bag of Tim's stuff coming from Norway. And it was a nice surprise on my birthday to get that. I'll tell you that. It was great.
Yeah.
I wasn't too sure when I was going to be returning over there.
No.
So it was
No,
tough,
exactly. No, but
you know?
I've never experienced a business that has been expanding, to many places where they've actually been able to keep the quality at the same level they were when they, were only one place. It's
Sure.
so difficult to control because you have to deal with a lot of people, and you can have good managers and train people well, but after a certain amount of time, it's just there's only that much you can do actually. So. I think if you want to keep the best quality, and that's kind of the game that I want to be in, then
Yeah.
you can only have that much staff and that much that many things to think about.
So it's getting late over there for you, so I won't keep you too long. But I do have a little game here that I have for our listeners and watchers called the Espresso Shot, which is blowing up all over the internet. Anyway, as best I can. So we're gonna do a quick little hit here of just a couple little things for people to watch inside the mind of Tim Wendelboe. So we'll
Ooh,
get going on that here.
I'm
So
ready.
this is gonna be
I love
okay. You
playing
ready for
games.
this? You love playing games. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to the Espresso Shot on the Brenton on Tour Journey for Java podcast. That's Tim Wendelboe, world champion, Aeropress champion, plus my favorite roaster in the whole world. So he's here to play the Espresso Shot, and he's also here to retake his title as most downloaded episode of the whole series. This is the Espresso Shot on 3, 2, and 1. Your favorite coffee region?
Kenya.
Kenya. Why?
I just love the fruity and winey, intense coffees there. Yeah.
Your favorite coffee bean, not yours.
It would have to be the Takeshi Geisha from the Coffee Collective. It's one of the best coffees I've ever tried.
From the Coffee Collective. Okay,
yeah,
great.
In Denmark.
Let's advice for somebody that comes to you says, Tim, I've never had coffee before. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do this. What do I drink for the first time, or how do I do this? How do you ease somebody into coffee for the first time? What's the main advice, go-to advice that you would tell them?
Wow, I would actually start with something a little sweet maybe, and something with milk, like I did myself. So my iced coffee, it's called cappuccino Alfredo. It's kind of a foamy milk and espresso with a little bit of sugar in it. It's really delicious. It's kind of like a dessert. Once you've had a couple of those, you kind of want to try something different, maybe a cappuccino, and then move on to maybe black coffee. But Aeropress coffee is a good thing.
So I was going to ask you, like, what's your favorite coffee to drink? So we'll just keep going. Is that your favorite coffee to drink when you're just sitting around casually, or what's your actual favorite coffee go-to that every time?
My favorite coffee is, black coffee, but I prefer to drink it on the farm where it was grown. That's just by far the best experience you can have.
Right there. I'm going to travel to there. And finally, the biggest myth about coffee that you'd like to debunk.
Wow, biggest myth, huh? Is there any myths? Yeah, that the Kopi Luwak, that kind of catfishes coffee thing, not a good thing. It's bad for the animals, bad for you, and bad for coffee.
And Gavin, and for everyone that's tuning in on this side of it, I've had a lot of questions about this, and people, watch that maybe the bucket list, and they think that this coffee from the lemurs is the way to go. But we touched on this in the last time you were here. But the quick Coles Notes version is it went from like an organic approach to now caging these animals to purposely make the coffee.
Yeah. And, I know how much care you need to take of the coffee in order to make it taste good. So passing it through a digestive system it's not a very good idea, to be honest.
So don't drink coffee from lemurs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the Espresso Shot with Tim Wendelboe. Thanks, buddy. So, okay. So just a general question for you and on coffee in general. You've been the champ here. You've had the most downloaded episode the whole time that I've been going here.
I'm surprised.
Well, it's interesting to me because the coffee culture, since I've discovered it and since I've gone through this journey for myself, has really been amazing how much it brings people together. And no one outside of the former U.S. president, Secret Service agent that we had on, has been able to dethrone you. So it consistently gets downloads every week as people find it and listen to this coffee episode. Do you have any explanation as to why that would be the most downloaded episode? And I'm happy to give you the title of that. But I'm just curious, like, what is it about the coffee culture that is so supportive where it would be the most downloaded episode?
I am not sure, actually. I mean, the coffee kind of this high quality coffee scene is quite a nice community, and everyone knows each other, everyone doesn't know each other, but we come together in events and stuff, and we kind of tend to stick together, and we have a lot of fun. So I'm not sure, actually, and I have no idea who actually downloaded this podcast. Maybe it's my wife downloading it, 10,000 times a day. I don't know.
I can tell you that it was trending #1 in Norway after the episode. So maybe that's maybe it came out of there pretty hard, and but it really did well, and it was very. I was sad to see you lose the throne.
I'm happy that it was for Obama, right?
Yeah. So my buddy John came on, who was Barack Obama's Secret Service agent, amongst other, with bands, and he was a Secret Service agent just for the government in general, but definitely had a lot to talk about and worked the Obama administration. Plus, he works with a lot of bands, so it was really something to see him. It just came out of nowhere. It just completely just annihilated the whole podcast, analytics. It was pretty funny to watch. So I was like, oh, Tim's going to be pissed. He lost the title. I don't think he knew he had the title, but he lost the title. Yeah, it was funny. So, okay. Just I want to show off this amazing store one more time here because and recommend everybody going over to check it out. If you're watching this, you get to see this. If you're not watching it and just listening to it, you're going to have to tune in on YouTube and check this out at Brenton on Tour to sort of see what this is all about. But as I mentioned, when you come into Tim's store, it's a beautiful little cafe that's strictly Aeropress. You have to, be patient, go in, sit in. I've got a full video of my visit there, including all the cupping and all the rest of it. But you come in this beautiful little cafe. The girls are working behind there. It's a full Aeropress cafe. It's just very, very comfortable. Great setting. What part of Norway, what part of town is it in?
It's in a part called Grünerløkka, which is it used to be it's still quite a hip area, but like what do you call it, gentrified, or what do you call it? Used to be quite worn down, but it's kind of become a place where a lot of restaurants are, and small niche boutiques and cafes, and so it's the kind of most open-minded area in Oslo, I would say.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful spot. These are some of the samples, as I mentioned, that you can get your hands on through Tim Wendelboe's website, through subscription service and all the rest of it. Do you want to tell people where they can find you online and all the rest of it, and hopefully people can sign up and we get some new subscriptions for you?
Yeah, cool. No, our website is timwendelboe.no. That's for Norway. And we do have a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube as well. On Instagram, we communicate a lot. Hashtag Tim Wendelboe. So you can subscribe to our coffee. It's kind of a recurring thing, so you can pause it or stop it at any time. You can choose from 1 to 6 bags. And I I always pick the coffees myself. And we make a little video where you can learn about and taste the coffees with me and learn a little bit about the coffees we send out. So we're hoping to make it a little bit interactive without having to interact.
You pick the coffees yourself from the field, or you actually pick each person's subscription?
No. We pick out the coffees that we send out every month. So, we do have a lot of coffees in storage all the time, but I regularly cup through them and kind of also depending on the season a little bit, and I feel like, okay, now is the time to send out Kenyan coffees. We would have done that if we had them in store already, but next month they will come out, hopefully.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Tim Wendelboe, my favorite coffee roaster in the world, located in Norway. As I said, subscribe if you can. Tim Wendelboe, that's Wendel, as you would normally spell Wendel, with a BOE.no. To go to the site, Aeropress. Get yourself an Aeropress. I'm just a big proponent of that. It's such a great product. And it's so much fun to use. And Tim's a big proponent of it. And of course, he's a champion, as we've discussed. It's getting late over there. I can't thank you enough for making the time to come back on again. Hopefully, you can dethrone John and become the champ once again.
Let's do it. Thanks so much.
Have a look, everybody. To coincide with this episode, there is a YouTube episode that I've created of my visit to Tim Wendelboe, which included cupping for the first time that I've never actually done. So your team ran me through it, including a visit to Roast, which was awesome, which is the home roast kit, and then a visit to your cafe where your team actually makes Aeropress for me. And I think we're going to have that video in about 5-6 minutes. So it's a nice hit to coincide with this video. Tim, all the best, man. And I look forward to touring and getting back over there and sitting in your cafe again.
Thanks so much. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, buddy, for your time. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. That, my friends, is Tim Wendelboe. As mentioned, my favorite coffee roaster on this fine planet of ours. And you can definitely do yourself a favor and get over there and check out his coffee. timwendelboe.no as it goes. Big thanks to my friends at Blue Microphones, who supply me with all of this, the MixFi headphones and the Blue Yeti X. Can't thank them enough. They sponsor the Brenton on Tour podcast, as well as the Kids on the Escalator podcast and all the rest of it. They're a really, really great team over there. A huge thanks to them, as always. And always my friends over at deanblundell.com. That is the Brenton on Tour podcast for another week. Big thanks to my friend Tim Wendelboe. Do yourselves a favor. Get over there. Order his coffee to your house right now. Do it. And we'll see you next week, friends. That is the Brenton on Tour podcast. Thanks.